Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. No, this is not Scott's voice. I'm not sure what he got tied up somewhere, probably in a meeting or something, but that's okay. We can run this show, no problem. We just won't go through all the polls and everything. I'm not sure how to do that. So, hey, David, how are you? Everyone, welcome to the trading excuse me, studio. My name's Andy, and that's Jamie. Like I said, I won't be going through a lot of the stuff that Scott does, just because I don't know how to do it. So let's dive in. So this is the trading studio. Let's move it over to our disclaimer here. And we are content publishers here at Trade Ideas. Nothing that you see or hear should be construed as investment advice. Jamie and I at one time could have given you that advice, but we no longer hold those licenses. So we better abide by the law. So if you are seeking that type of information, look for a registered advisor, a stockbroker, somebody who can legally give it to you. All right, agenda for today, guys. We're going to talk about the market cap. It's interesting, little pullback today in the market after the gap up. Holly recap. Notice Holly had a few decent calls in there today. I'm going to talk about today what I was doing. I thought, if you're a swing trader like me and you've been sitting in positions for a while, it was a good day to not so much look for opportunity after a big run, although it's hard not to because you kind of get caught up in the euphoria. But I'll show you some of the technical stuff I was looking at to make me take profits, not of everything, but definitely took some off. So. And then we'll go over the trader's eye. There's been some decent calls over the last week or two in the trader's eye, and I can kind of give you my reason why. If you notice my calls, they're not going to be a lot of extended chasing stuff after a 2-day move or something like that. They're mostly setups, and I'll tell you why I do that. And we'll go over some of the setups because I think it's really good, even if you're a day trader. A lot of these can be great day trades, just because when you get that set up, a lot of times that first day out of that setup can be a really good move. All right, we're going to look at some I got a after hours race going on over here, so I'll show you how that can benefit you when you're looking, even if you don't trade in after hours. I think it's fun to watch, just so kind of leave an impression for you going into the next day, like, hey man, this one, they were buying the ton, a lot of this stuff in after hours. Maybe I'll keep an eye on this and look for a pullback or something like that. All right, so, and also gonna hit on race replays. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not very intuitive, so I'm gonna go over it. We do have some great videos for you when it comes to these replays. They're not as thorough as the ones you see in real time because you're going back over the whole day, so it's kind of spliced up into 5-minute time frames. Anyway, we'll take a look at that, but it can give you an idea of maybe if you're going back and if logging your trades that you made or something like that, and you made one from a race, maybe you can go back and watch the race, figure out why you did that. What, if you made a mistake, maybe take a look and kind of go back and rehash things. And then, of course, Q&A. We got the test drive coming up. So if anybody's in here and they wish to talk about the Q&A, if you have any questions on the test drive, just go ahead and hit us up. We'll dive in and check that stuff out. All right, let's move on and talk about the support, education, and training, because it's very important, especially with the test drive coming up. Next week, I think all these webinars will be canceled, so we can focus on the huge number of new people we have to come in and try out the software. Okay, we have to do a lot of support during that 2-week period. We also do webinars. We'll be doing our regular 12 o'clock webinar every day to answer any questions that people may have. And but yeah, just remember, I'm pretty sure Scott's going to cancel all the webinars for the next 2 weeks, except for, of course, for that support webinar. All right, and there it is. It's going to be 12 Eastern time every day. So if you're in the test drive, make sure you get in here. Even if you think everything is going smooth, you've been watching videos and all that, I promise you there'll be some, some ideas that you hadn't thought of that'll be discussed. People will ask these questions. So yeah, come check it out. Once again, it's going to be every day, Monday through Friday, 12 Eastern time. And you can go to trade-ideas.com/live, or if you're in Barry's room and you're on the YouTube channel, the live stream, just stay in there. We'll take it over. All right, I will save this for our departing messages. So let me back out of here and let's talk about the market after I get a drink of water here. All right. So first, we'd like to talk about the SPYs, get a nice big chart here so you can kind of see. And even though this was a level that some felt we probably got through, okay? This area right here, key pivot level at this 415 level, you can see this was support, and I could probably go back and it was probably support at some other time. Yep, support there, support there. So a major pivot level right here. We finally bumped up against it back here in the early part of June. We came up against it, bounced around a couple of times, and lo and behold, we had a gap above. But guys, that's just kind of one line, all right? When you look at the big picture, this is kind of an area of congestion going back over here, so it's kind of in that same area, getting close to this downward sloping trend line. And not only that, we have our 200 period up here. And what made me really start thinking about selling today was I looked at the IWM. Let me drag this over here. And look how close it got today to this 200-day moving average. Now it is through its trend line. It's had a very impressive move all the way from this 167 level all the way to almost 200 today. That's a huge move. So obviously some profit taking going on today with that gap up and then move to highs. That's where I actually put on a hedge this today after I sold some stuff in this TZA. You can see I bought it at 27. Wonder why it's not showing. Maybe it shows it on the daily chart. Well, regardless, you can see it on my chart there, 27.97, but it was kind of that same area there, only because I was of that IWM getting close to that 200-day. I wanted to put on a little hedge there and also sold some stocks. I'll talk more about that later. So, the IWM, I think you got to keep an eye on hitting that 200-day. It may want to, back and fill a little bit. Same thing goes with the spiders. Got a little bit ahead of ourselves, possibly. We still have this nice little fanning pattern with our moving averages. Okay, that's typically very bullish when you see the 10 above the 20 and the 20 above the 50, and they're fanning out like that. That's momentum, at least in the short term. So that's definitely an area I would be watching. Maybe we back up and see how we act, around this 10-period moving average, which could be right around the highs. That could be honestly right where this line is drawn. So we want to watch that. All right, let's pull up the Qs real quick and see what kind of strength we've had over there lately. And about the same, not quite as nothing like the IWM. That's typical in market bottoms. So I'm not going to call this a bottom, but a lot of times the small cap sector, has been beaten up the most. So a lot of people can perceive value there and they rush into small caps. And it can be very wise too, because you get some incredible gains. But the Q's not looking bad, but not as strong. You can see they're barely got above this trend line here, and so nothing like the IWM. And the SPYs are still below their trend line, and they got that 200-day. So that will be an area, if we can move higher, you want to watch out for. Are we back in a bull market? No, you really can't say that yet, because in the big picture, we are still making kind of one could argue that that's a higher high. If you want to consider this, a move from here to here. I know a lot of bears would argue that no, it's not. That was just still congestion during this, and that's your move right there. But we'll see what happens. But no, the trend, but you can't argue that the trend is changed and is moving higher. You can say it is over the last, 50, 60 days, but since the first of the year, we're still in a downtrend. So you have to, adhere uh, to the chart actually. So the Qs, one more going back. I didn't finish talking about them. I think once again, you got this same as the SPYs. You got these fanning moving averages. So you want to watch that 10 period because we could drop and fall down to this 20, pretty easily. So Jamie, that's about it. I think, things are definitely better, but when you see action like we saw today, obviously it doesn't look that bad when you look at a chart. But if you're like me, and I know a lot of the traders here, it seems like your stocks sure take a lot more beating than the
Oh
the
yeah.
overall
Oh
market.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Except they don't go the other way a lot of the times either.
Yeah, that's exactly.
My stock's just sitting there. But actually, I got to say, the ones that I've been playing lately, and I'm sure you can attest, the race
hmm
stocks, they
hmm
they don't disappoint. Um,
No, there's been some really good ones.
yep.
All right. Well, anything you want to add to the market recap? Or
No, I pretty much concur with your analysis there, Doctor. I was
Mhm.
surprised to see us get up to this level this quickly, to be honest with you. You know,
Yes, yes.
uh,
It makes you wonder had we not had the CPI numbers, which I, I I mean I thought it was overreaction. I mean we're still it's like we went comparing it year over year to all of a sudden comparing it month over month. I'm like, okay.
oh yeah,
So
and
there was no, yeah.
redefining what a recession is and all that good stuff. You know, typical economist BS. You know,
Exactly.
um,
hmm
but yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? I mean, like I said, I didn't expect that gap up yesterday. Not
Mm-mm.
really, not that big of one, and I
No.
certainly didn't expect to see the high that we saw today. But do we settle back down into a range between 415 and 420?
hmm
Kind of
Yeah.
feels like that. What it might,
Yeah.
that's what it might be.
Yeah. Well, I can say this in my 25 years of trading experience and sitting here staring at computers during August, it can be really frustrating if you're trying to force things because typically uh, about the middle of August till after Labor Day is the slowest period of the year. So, yeah, so you may be right, Jamie. We may just have some very mundane slopping around, uh, but we'll see. You never know with
Oh,
all the.
I thought we'd
Uh,
kind of slop around in that prior range that's now looking like it might
yeah.
become, support. But then we had the big gap, and I was like, yeah, okay,
hmm
I'll take it.
All right. You want to talk a little bit about the AI today?
We can do that. Let me get it pulled up here.
Unless you just don't feel like there's anything to talk about. I thought I saw
We
some
got some
winning trades in.
conservative versus moderate
Yeah.
spread there,
Yeah. I see
and
that.
a couple of these. So sure,
Ooh, look at that. Shorts too.
let me grab the
Shorts for the
screen from
winners,
you.
huh? Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, let me just make sure we're on the right screen here. All right, you should have eyes on.
I got it.
Okay, and pardon me 1 second. Today's been kind of crazy, so I forgot to pull up my pin. Where'd you go, pin? There you go. Okay, yes, and at the top of the list there, Goose. Well, pin, behave. There we go. Okay, so here we go. Here we have the strategy trades panel. Boy, I didn't realize she had so
A
many
few
trades
trades, huh?
today, man.
Wow, I didn't either.
You know, since I've been focusing on the races, I've moved the AI trades panel over to another monitor, and I still look at it
hmm
just not as actively as I used to with with races hitting the scene. But yeah, pretty active today. But what we're going to focus on right here is this spread between conservative and moderate profit. Um, for those of you who might be seeing this for the first time or hearing us talk about Holly, typically there's 3 different categories that we'll cover. Is there any spread at the end of the day? And of course, this is hindsight. We're looking at the spread now, but how might we have participated in this spread here once we see the AI make the conservative exit? And of course, we can see if we would have held to the close and the goose short would have made about twice as much. So I tell you what, let me get that on the screen here. All right, so hey, what a beautiful entry up here. You know, short at 28.83 fairly quickly, only about 6 minutes, about 7 minutes into the market here. And this thing just does what a good stock should. Cruises the way that we want it to. Now, right off the bat here, this would have been a great time to add to the position right here as it settles into this little range and then breaks it. Now, of course, the little wick there right there was kind of a tell, right? You've probably heard this over and over. If it wicks there, it can trade there. Of course, this wasn't that extreme of a wick, but nonetheless, once we cycled back down here, nice little level, you know, opening range, uh, initial signal up here. So that would have been a great time to add to that position. And then we just got a nice downtrend. Of course, Holly's going to close it out because that profit target got hit fairly quickly. And if we look over here at the times, that was only roughly a 24-minute, 23-minute hold. Nothing wrong with that. Only issue is that it had more to give as we, you know, if we would have ignored Holly's exit there, and if I was saying, okay, this was a great time to add to the position, so, you know, ignoring the AI's exit on that one wouldn't have been that tough of a call, right? Of course, the exit occurred here, right? But this would have been a great time for a re-entry, even if you did cover or add to the position. Hopefully that makes sense. So just a beautiful short trade. Could have made about double on the trade, staying in it, taking a little bit more risk and accepting that moderate risk, or canning it with the AI, but re-entering here or adding to the position. So not a bad trade there. Now let's take a look. The next one was a long, actually. ENVX. Let me get rid of those squigglies there. Not a bad trade. This will come in about 41 minutes into the open. Just a nice clean buy right here. Pretty much towed the line. 10 period was in control for the majority of the move and obviously the maximum move. Topping out right around 21.88. Now we can see, let's see, when was the closeout there? 9:42 is when she closed this one out. I don't know why I'm not seeing. Oh yeah, the shaded area right here. No? Well, it's on the borderline, right? Right there. So the AI closing the trade out about right here. But, you know, this, you know, what are we going to call that? About 2.5 times more, right? And that's holding to the close, but we still had even more profit potential up here at the high. It was bumping its head against the 22 level. Of course, that's a whole number. That's kind of what a couple other stocks were doing today. I know that Warby Parker kept butting up against the whole number and it just couldn't punch through. And a lot of the times those whole numbers will, you know, they'll either blast right through them or act as a little supply, as in this case. But simply ignoring the exit on the conservative side and accepting a little bit more risk. And this one really didn't give you any reason to think it was going to go the other way on you. You know, just pretty much towed the entry line, never even got into this area of risk more than a few wicks. All right, I think that is it for conservative versus moderate spread. We can see here, not really a whole lot there, a few cents, and then things kind of fall off from the risk there. Now let's see. We did have several stop hits today, and we can just quickly glance. Probably not a lot of opportunity in the CGen, as you know, that was lose my spot here. Yeah, not a whole lot of opportunity in that one, as we just fell right below the stop area. Looks like the same thing's going to be hold true for real. You know, once we bought it here, just boom, cratered on down. And I'm looking at these moderate profits, and if the moderate profit is high, there was some turnaround, some trade around opportunity. It's just that's not what we're seeing in any of these stop hits today.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for Holly. Not
All
the best
right.
performance, not the worst performance. You know,
No.
of course, if you just took every trade and hope for the best, you're up a little bit, but that's not recommended, and that doesn't account for
No, it's
slippage
not.
or commission. So all in all, with these totals, I just have to say Holly pretty much had a flat day, you know.
Yep. That's thank you, Jamie. Well done.
Sure, let me give it back to you here.
All righty. Okay. All right. Wait, did I take it? You got me? Or Jamie?
Yes, Andy. Sorry, I was talking with mute on. You are good to go.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. Let me pull up the okay, the trader's eye. We want to talk about calls this weekend, right? Yeah, that's I'll just pull, since we don't have a running tab of the calls in the channel. It's kind of tough to do. I guess I could do it, but only problem when you do that, you can't tell where the call was made by looking at that. So I'm just going to pull this over, and we will take a look at the most recent calls. And let's go back to let's just go back to the 8th here. EVGO was called, I'm sorry, not the 8th, the 2nd, 8/2. EVGO was called on this day, which is the 2nd, and that was right here. And that was right around, I remember the sector was all running. This had a nice little pullback, and I'm pretty sure it was around 835 on this one right here. Now I think no, they didn't have earnings. So a nice move in EVGO. PayPal obviously had a nice move. I keep trying to click on that, and that's not going to work. But it was earnings driven, but it did have a little bit of a move. A little bit of move before going into earnings. I actually got lucky on that one. Pins was called on this day right here on a pullback on the earnings. Yeah, and that was also on 8/2 as well. Earnings, and I bought it actually myself on a pullback there. RIVN on 8/3. Like I said, these are all calls. This one was called on this day before it took out these two highs. I remember that. I think it was around 34 and 88 or something like that. So a nice move. They did have earnings in after hours. Under Armour was called at after earnings, and I remember this one was not a whole lot going on there, but it was around 835. Netflix was actually a really good one. I've been in that one. I did sell some today, but that one was called on this day right here, I believe, 8/5. No, 8/4 on this day right here. So nice move. I just love the way that was setting up, and it was called before the break. I think it may have been around 226 or something like that. Run was a day after their earnings. I love the way it was setting up, and that was called around 31.90 and had up to 35, 36 area. Now, obviously, the market had a nice move during this time, but I'm trying to show you this so you kind of get a picture of what I'm looking at. This was actually called on a pullback on 8/5, and that would have been on this day right here. I'm trying to remember where that was called, but I know it's much lower than where it was right now. So I remember that waiting for a pullback on that one, and that was called. Didn't call anything on this day. I did not like it. The market had a little bit of pullback right there. Lithium I always call this lithium. Was I think one of my better calls. It was called on this day, and it's had a couple of really good days there in that one. DQ was another one on the day lithium was called, and I know this was called around 34.90, something like that. So $6 in that trade. This one it was called yesterday, and basically flat in that one. Pretty much it gapped up today, and I just love that little setup. That's the kind of setups I'm talking about, guys. When you just, instead of chasing, I'm looking for these setups. Just China's a little tricky right now, but that one's basically about flat. CD had a nice move today and held up okay. CD was called yesterday around 725, I believe, and had a good move today. But of course, the market pulled a lot of things down. Today, the only one that was two called today, VIPs, and it's pretty much right where it was called at 10:01. That's exactly where it was called today on a pullback. And I thought it was going to dig in and move higher here, but hey, I'll take that after the sell-off we had in the market, pretty much flat. And LI, I'm liking this one. I've actually been in this one. I'll go over some of my trades here in a minute. When it popped above this 10-period moving average, NEO was having a good day. XPEL was having a good day. These have been lagging, and it popped above it. So I think that was called at 33.13. I could tell you. I still have it up over here. Oh no, I had to close out my thing. That's right. All right. So if you've been paying any attention to where I'm calling these, you're going to see not a lot of these are like, explosive moves that I'm chasing. Okay. If they are a gap up or something like that, or had a good move, you'll always find me, waiting for pullbacks because I don't like chasing. I just feel personally that it's always easier to, if you have a setup, you're looking at a setup. First of all, I think those setup have the potential to have a very good first move. Kind of like the CD trade that I jumped in yesterday, right above it. You get these moves right out of the gate, gapped up, ran all the way up to 770. It's a pretty decent move from the 325 level. So that's the kind of stuff that I look for, and the reason I do that is because it's very easy when you're looking at a setup to kind of define where your stop's going to be versus chasing something. Okay, if you're chasing something, you're playing the momentum, you just kind of jump in. You're like, oh boy, this is a pretty green candle. Now, where do I let it, if I'm looking at a daily chart, where am I going to get out, Whereas a setup, and let me try to find one, like this DQ, this DQ, it was sitting here and it could not break its 50. It just sit here for 3 weeks, and this day it tried to, but even really closed right at its 50 right there. So it was hanging on that 50, and then when it got above that 10 and that 20 right there is where I called it, right around 65. So for me, that to me is just setting up for, personally, if it breaks down and closes below that 50, I'd be out, and you can see that's not very far to go. So my risk in this trade is nothing like my reward, which could potentially go up here to 52-week highs. You had a nice little doji today that held on very well in a pretty ugly market. I mean, the market wasn't down all that, but tried to gap up and sold off all day, and this one just kind of held up. So
Hey, Andy, real quick here, just had a question come in from James there.
Sure.
He's like, well, what do you mean by called the play? That's when you said, okay, I'm gonna engage in this long, yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. I've been talking about this so much. I just figured everybody knows about it. I'm glad you brought that up, James, because there's always new people in here. If you go to new and you go to the doc channel bar, you're going to see something over here called the TI Trader's Eye. Now, here's the deal. Okay, if you pull this up later in the day, it's going to give you, I have this set on a 5-minute high. So what happens when I'm watching some of these trades and I go into our back office in section called the global symbol list, and what that means is I can build a symbol list back there, and you guys, everybody has access to it. So I created this docked channel bar. So you guys, if you want to follow, because what I do is I put my list in here of all the stocks that I'm kind of watching. Now, occasionally another stock, I may see something that's not even on the list and I may call it. That just, you know how it is in trading, you know, something pops up and you're like, whoa, that looks good. And I'll just go ahead and add it to the swing trade ideas. Here's the caveat, because it's on a 5-minute high ticker, that's going to be the first one made. So if you're watching this, I have a do not repeat on here. Okay. So if you pull this up during midday, the first 5-minute if I called something, the first time it hits a 5-minute high, you're going to get it in here. So that may be a lot higher than where I called it. Hey, Maxie, how are you? So anyway, what you can do if you don't want to keep this whole dock window, and I understand, but you want to see, you know, the calls. In other words, now when I say it's a call, what it is, it's an idea. Okay, this, you know, swing trading is a little bit different. People have different parameters. You know, some people may want to jump in this and say, wow, I like this on the longer term frame. I'm going to give this thing, you know, 5% to the downside, but I'm looking to make 20 or 30% on the upside. Whereas if you're like me, I'm saying, you know what, I'm only going to give this maybe 2% on the downside, but I'm looking to make 10% on the upside. So it's very subjective when it comes to swing trading because of the time parameters could be so different for different swing traders. So they don't come with like stops and targets, okay? They're just ideas, okay? Now, I like to think they're good ideas because I trade a lot of these and I do very well with them. So, but I'm not going to tell you, you know, what to take and when to take it and when to take profits. And, you know, I think that is definitely up to the trader. Now, obviously, things run against you and the market starts crashing. You know, you got to use your common sense there. But if you want this and you don't want to keep the whole docking window, just come in here and you can just duplicate into a free floating window. Okay, and then all you have to do is right click and save this to your cloud. Okay, and then you can, you know, migrate it to your default layout and just keep it somewhere on another monitor. Maybe you can put an audio alert in there, so when it's, you know, when you hear something, you know there's a swing call being made in there. And what I was showing you earlier were all the ones that have been made in there, like over the last week or so. All right, so just to give you an idea, and I am going to show you what I've been doing lately, and I've had a very good, you know, last couple of weeks. And a lot of these trades, and now this is a simulator, okay, but what I do is when I make a trade in my real account, I'll come over here and buy it in this account. Now, you can probably divide, you know, each of these by 100, you know, when it comes to P&L, because I like to use kind of hedge fund size in there. It's kind of fun just to, you know, play with bigger size than you normally do to see if you can do it. But anyway, the entry prices are real, okay? The exits are real. You can kind of get an idea of my closed P&L and my today P&L. I don't, Jamie, I don't know. I need to talk to dev department. The total P&L doesn't look right to me. When something's off with that, I need to talk to them about it. Yep. So here we go. I'm currently in all these positions now. In most of them, almost all of them, I've taken half of my positions off, and probably in 75% of them, I've taken as much as 3/4 off. And this is how I like to trade a lot. I like to keep a core position, whether it's real small, because what it'll do, it'll pull back to a level that I really like, and I'll get back in. I kind of call it sway trading. I'm just kind of swaying with the market. So example, today I had nice profits. I love the opening we had in the market, gapped up. First 45 minutes of the day was, you know, moving higher. And then I noticed some of the areas I was talking about in the market recap, and I've had some really nice returns. So I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to start shaving some of this stuff off, you know, feed the monkeys, I call it. But I shouldn't say that. So anyway, let's and you'll see some of the prices in here. Of course, these two right here are ones that have jumped in recently down at the bottom, and they're pretty much flat. You can see there, entry price in the last. But you come up here to some of these ones like DQ that I told you about. You can see there that 6405 was my entry in this one. It's up to 70, so over $6 in that. And I've taken half of this off. I took half of it off yesterday when it got up to this level. And I'm saying, you know what? There's resistance here. I'm going to take half off. And the reason I'm showing you this, guys, is not to like brag on I'm not one to brag on my trading, but I really believe if people would trade more like this, it takes a lot of the emotion out of it, because you're always taking profits. You're always looking for good entries, and as long as you're able to, abide to your risk parameters, and when something goes against you, you get out. You just get out. And because trust me, that kind of stuff will just eat you alive. Not only will it just work on your psyche, and it'll mess you up, but the biggest thing to me, it takes away opportunity costs, okay? Where I can be buying more, maybe of the winning trades, and managing my winning trades versus, sitting in pains, in the ones that aren't working. FXI is one I bought yesterday. I mean, this looks weird that I would jump in this thing down here, but what happened is, our markets were ripping, and I'm thinking, you know what? I got a strong feeling this is going to carry over to the Asian markets, and I bought that. Now, I did take off half today on this move higher. It was getting real close to this 20 period, and I think I gave it a chance and maybe shaved it off once it did a bar reversal there. And you can see the closed in today's P&L. Hood is kind of weird. I've been in and out of this one a lot. I did sell some today, a third of my position, because it could not get through that key level right there. But you can see my entry down here at 1024 in that one. JKS, I've been in since this was kind of an anticipation trade, buying it on this support down here. And the reason I was doing that is because our solars have been so strong. I knew if China got any bounce at all in the China markets, these things were just going to rip, and I even mentioned it, I think, in Steve's webinar the other day. I said, listen, watch these China solars, because our solars have been just ripping for a week, and they haven't done anything. And sure enough, they got their move the following day. So I did take half of that off. Didn't sell any more today. See what happens. But I did take half of it yesterday at when it got to this level right here. You had kind of a pivot level right there. So key things to watch out for anytime you see these pivot levels. Yeah, it's okay to try to let them get through, but once you see they're kind of struggling, I'm always quick to bang out half at important levels like that. Lee, this is one I'm in from 31.79. I did sell half of that today, and I did actually come, but I will buy that back real quick if it takes out this high for high tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'll put an alert right here. Lithium, I talked about that already. I've been in that 26.41. You can see that entry there. I've only got a quarter of my position left. I did sell another quarter today. Netflix, same thing. I got a quarter of my position. I sold half on this day. So there you go. Had I not taken any profits on this day right here, and I had to sit back, this would have came all the way down to a flat after having a good day. Now, did take another quarter off today, just because of the areas I talked about in the market recap. I just felt like, so I still got a quarter of that. NEO, I just bought today for the first time, 21.15, barely underwater. I just like the way this was kind of setting up, kind of popped out of all these moving averages, but may have been a little premature. But once again, half position, okay? Market was selling off. I'm not looking to, it was a little bit of chase today. It was already up over 4%. So I'm like, you know what? I'm buying half a position. Now, what I'll do is I may play this to where if it does come back in the morning and hit these moving averages, maybe I buy a half then, depending on if the market's cratering. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. What I would prefer is it run and take out my entry and get up here. Maybe I can add around 21 or something like that. SOL, this is probably one of my best trading stocks of the year, I've had a real this from here to here. I had some really good trades. Now I bought it yesterday at a half a position at 709. Okay, I'm thinking this thing wants to touch this 10 period moving average. I'm going to be watching it really close to possibly add my other half. But half a position, I'm basically about flat on it. Looks like it's doing a little something in aftermarket. SOS, kind of a spec trade that I had a really good trade on back over here that I got back in at 675 on this day. So not a big size in that one. I told you about the TZA hedge that I put on for my remaining positions, and that's kind of how I do it. And once again, I like to call it sway trading because I'm taking small positions, half size, and I'll buy half size. If it doesn't work, it's not going to kill me. I'll get out, small loser, and then when they do work, I'll add to them, and then I'm quick to take profits and just kind of go with the market and keeping like core positions. But it really works for me. And so, and I actually got some positions that aren't on here. I call it basically out of sight, out of mind. I think works a lot of time when you enter a trade. And I talked about this. I am in Snap from 950. I've been in it for a while now. Back over here with about $1 stop on that. Pins I'm in. I took it off my screen and didn't care for the action today, but I'm in at a decent price. If it breaks down below this level right here, I think it got to stop at 21.75. Anyway, that's a little trick sometimes, guys, because it really works. And what I mean by out of sight, out of mind, if you're not sitting there staring at something, if you're in a swing trade and it's working for you, and you feel like you got a good price and you really feel like it has a chance to go much higher, kind of like this, this pins, if it ever does get up, above this, like say 24.40 level, I think this thing could, really rock. But, small size and, put a stop in and like I said, take it off my blotter so I don't even have to look at it. But typically I won't do that just because I do like to, but if I get small size and I've already taken profits, I did take some today. I will, I'll just try to let it work for me. All right, I've rambled on about that, guys. I'm sorry, I probably went further than I should, but let me. I just want to. I really tried to help. Some people have, emailed me and very interested in how I trade, and I think a lot of people who come into this and think, I'm going to be a day trader and just kill it. It's a very, very tough job. I did it for 17 years. And this is something where you don't have to take really big size. You build your little hedge fund. And the only problem is when the market gets really ugly, sometimes you gotta, get out fast, but that's okay. That's why I'm always taking profits when it goes in my direction. All right. So here's my after hours earnings. And what this is just a top list of after hours, and I like to just run a little bit of race. Let's take a look. This is NKTX. There's no volume there, just gapping up. Oh shoot, it's starting over. But let's look at the winners. Payo obviously having a nice aftermarket there. Look at that, like that movement, and you can see it here in the races. It's already won 2 races. Looks like Toast won a couple of races or 1 race, and nice market after hours for Toast. Let's see, RIVN. That must have been early, obviously during that move right there. It looks like it won a race, but backing up now a little bit. But looks like Payo's been the big winner there. So anyway, I just kind of want to show you this. If you do have an after hours like earnings, things that I have, I like to look at in after hours. I don't trade. Sometimes if I see something really interesting, I will, but for the most part, no, I don't trade. But you know what? I like to run a race to see sometimes the ones that are taken out, so I can kind of pull them up real quick and see what it's doing. Flows, not flows. Nasty looks like to me. So, way it just like pre-market, you can use this in aftermarket. All you need is a top list and just run your race. Now I want to show you guys real quick how to bring my China watcher over here, because I like to trade China stocks a lot. And I used to be, when I was a day trader, I used to trade a lot of China stocks because they have a personality about them, and you just get a good feel for how they trade. So I have me a little watch list, and I run a race for my China stocks. Well, let's say I wanted to go back and run a replay. I wanted to see how well this did maybe during the first hour of the day. So what you can do now, and you will have this, guys, I think you're going to get this version tomorrow. So what you can do is, first of all, you have to stop it, okay? And then once you do that, you can go into show race setup. And don't worry if you don't get all this today. We have a great video for this. You're going to go into show race setup. Now, it's a little bit quirky. What you want to do is say, in this case, I got change from the open based on, I got it sorted by change from the open. Okay, so what I want to do is, let's run 10-minute time frames, and we are going to, here's your replay. You see replay down there? It's kind of tough with this black on red, but you have some options here. You can do last race. Okay, you can do today. It just goes back to the very first part of the day. You can do last trading day. So if you wanted to go back to yesterday, you could do that as well. Or you can do a custom. Let's say you just wanted to go, you were interested in a race 2 hours after the market opened. You could go in here and do custom and just set your time frame of what, when you want to look at it. Now, this is not a full race. Obviously, we cannot pull all the data in, into a history and all that. It just takes up a lot of our servers and bandwidth and stuff like that. But it will kind of give you an idea of what happens. So let's do this. Let's do a custom and run it from 8:30 to 9:30. I'm on Central Time, so this is going to be the first hour of the day. So we could do that. Now, here's the key. You're so accustomed to hitting the start. You don't hit the start. You hit the recycle, the replay. This is kind of like your replay icon. So you just click on that. This should take us back, if I did everything correctly, to the beginning of the day. Now they have a timer down here. It's kind of weird. 8:35. It kind of gives you you can see time here was taking off early this morning. Okay, 8:40. This man moves so fast I can't even figure it out. XPEV was having a good morning. Time and XPEV were really good. NEO kind of started the race. And guys, this replay, just as the first version, we'll probably make this better. But what it's going to do, it's going to cycle through that first hour of the day. And it's going to do it pretty fast. But you can get an idea by looking at these, what NOAA, if we look at NOAA, had an incredible day today, just kept going all day. So anyway, and I think what it'll do is probably just run it back over the same thing again. Let me try something here. Let me stop this and let me put it on all day and see what happens here. Let's go back to race setup and let's just put it on today. Join. And let's do a 15-minute. Now, since it's doing it's all day, obviously the cars are probably not going to move as fast. But see if you can get some. It's like they're neck and neck. Yeah, I think it probably is best to do like a shorter time frame, so that way you can kind of see the cars taking off. This all day, I think it's just really hard to see the winners in the early going. Jamie. But the key points I wanted to break out is the functionality, guys. So when you stop it and you go to show race setup, you want to be able, first of all, you want to make sure this is unchecked. Auto start last day replay. I guess if you wanted to only play, the last day, you could do that. But if you want to do something custom, you got to make sure that's not checked right there. Okay. Then you can put in here the hours that you want. This could be, let's say maybe you want to do the first 2 hours of the day. So you come in here, you put 10, 30, make sure it's AM, and replace cars, change from open, recycle. And I just started playing around with this, guys, for the first time today, so it's kind of a work in process for me. And I'm sure, it's a work in process for us as well. We'll probably make them better because I'm not sure, these 5-minute jumps right here are going to work. Maybe we need to add a little more time in there.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot to the races to make them smoother as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I heard. Yeah, that's something that's coming out that's incredible as far as the races are going to be really smooth, huh?
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool if every time you, if you had a feature in there that go, okay, every time a stock wins a race, put it in a list for me.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. These are all kind of, well, I'm looking at the percentages and they look like they had some incredible moves. Some of these. It's all right out of the gate. All right, guys. Well, that's how you do it. And yeah, the races are pretty cool. So if you're coming in for the test drive, like I said, we have lots of videos on them that's going to help you out. And it really helps kind of simplify things versus trying to see everything in a grid where they move around very, very slowly. Every 30-second refresh, and you really can't see the stocks in the middle of that grid that are moving because of the ones on top are up, whatever you have it sorted by, they're going to be up above it. So you can really catch some good action. All right, guys. Well, I'm all talked out. Real quick, if anybody wants me to look at a stock or anything, I'll be happy to do it. Or if you have any questions about something that you've seen today. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, the Dawn of the Dead is a good one. I hadn't busted that out, Mike, but I was looking at it actually last night. And I'm going like, wow, there's been some decent moves in this thing. I may have to check that out. Dawn of the Dead race. That's scary sounding.
I envision zombies.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Walking very slowly.
All right, guys. You know what? I'm going to bring, did Scott make it in? Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. He's going to walk us out. So he'll tell you more about the test drive.
Yeah, so a couple items before we take off for the day. We do connect with Interactive Brokerage directly from Brokerage Plus. If you are an Interactive Brokerage client already, you can just go ahead and connect yourself. If you're not, you can learn more about becoming one at trade-ideas.com/IBKR. We'll let you trade directly from Trade Ideas using your IBKR account. We also do a similar thing with E-Trade that's all actually a $0 commission trading experience, and you can learn more about that at trade-ideas.com/E-Trade. So if you're an E-Trade client, you can connect E-Trade account with our Brokerage Plus module and manage your positions and trade directly from within Trade Ideas. Got a great book about strategy indicators and how to use them by Dave Mabe, one of our chief engineers. He's our director of software development. You can go to trade-ideas.com/strategy to sign up for that. If you're not quite ready for a subscription, we do offer the strength alerts for $17 a month. Trade-ideas.com/strength. You get 5 trade ideas every Sunday night, similar to the trade of the week, but it's based on relative strength. You should check that out. Go to that page to learn more about that. And as mentioned, we have the test drive coming up, which is pretty exciting. We'd only do that a couple times a year. It starts on Monday, August 15th, but if you sign up now, you'll start to get access tomorrow and Friday and through the weekend, so you can get used to the new features and set up your layouts, get ready for the Monday start, just go to trade-ideas.com/test drive to learn how. We do charge $11 for the 2 weeks. It's to cover some additional exchange fees and support expense that we go through. But it does not start any additional subscription. Even if you're on a standard subscription now, it lets you try out the premium features for those 2 weeks and doesn't automatically move you to a higher tier just for those 2 weeks. Then you can decide at the end of that if you want to become a premium subscriber. And if you want to start up right now or upgrade right today, just use the code PASSDATA. It'll save you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Go ahead and grab that if you want to get started now. If you have any questions, email us at tradeIdeas.com, info@tradeIdeas.com. You can find us on YouTube with Trade Ideas there. We're also Trade Ideas Pro on Facebook. And you can find us on the Twitters at Trade Ideas, QuantBot, TISDG, and some other handles. So thanks, everyone. We'll get a recording of this up later on tonight or tomorrow. And stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. See you in the test drive.
See you next time. Bye-bye.